Yesterday, I uploaded a short talking about this, and if you want to check that out, I'll officially figure out how to put a link to another video in this video. But trying to condense information into a single minute can be kind of difficult. So instead of limiting myself to that, I figured I'd make another one and expand upon some of my thoughts and opinions. And let's go through the entire article. Here's how Nothing will keep its iMessage app secure, straight from the source. And Nothing is the phone company started by Carl Pei, I believe it's his name. He was one of the co-founders of OnePlus. And recently, the Nothing Phone 2 was released. And here's a picture of it. And I went over the TLDR and the short, so you can check that out or just pause the video and read all of that. But to start reading, Nothing is getting ready to launch a new messaging app called Nothing Chats. The software promises to give the phone 2 compatibility with iMessage, as well as offer a few iMessage features. Although it seems like there could be security concerns with how the app works, Nothing claims its app is private and secure. Earlier today, Nothing announced its Nothing Chat app, which will turn green text bubbles into blue ones. The app will, as a beta, in addition to offering iMessage features like read receipts, voice notes, and full resolution media sharing, it will also offer RCS. Nothing's app is similar to Sunbird's app, which also provides iMessage compatibility for Android. In fact, Nothing Chats is built on Sunbird's architecture, but is designed by Nothing. In an article we published earlier today, we shared concerns about potential security issues with how the app would work. Nothing has since clarified how the process is handled to keep everything private and secure, a spokesperson states. And here's a quote. Once you log in to the Chats app for the first time using either your existing Apple ID or creating a new one, your credentials are tokenized in an encrypted database and become associated with one of Sunbird's North America or Europe-based Mac Minis, depending on where you're located. Creating an encrypted relay for iMessage sent through the app. Once the relay is created, it's locked and cannot be accessed by Sunbird or anyone else, even if they had access to the physical server itself. The only action Sunbird can take with the relay is to delete it. The spokesperson further added that Sunbird has its ISO 27001 certification and is currently working on ISO 27701, an internationally recognized specification for an information security management system. Nothing reportedly partnered with Sunbird because it delivers end-to-end encrypted messages without ever storing them at any point. The London-based firm also says the only information Sunbird holds onto is the account email, but Sunbird deletes that information if a user is inactive for 2 weeks. While we still have concerns, at least Nothing has shed some light on how data will be handled for its new app. Nothing Chats will be available on November 17th in the Google Play Store for the US, Canada, UK, EU, and other countries in Europe, including Norway and Switzerland. But here, what do we have? What is the cause of this? Apple has chosen to not open iMessage. And as a result of that, companies like Sunbird and now Nothing are trying to do things to give non-iPhone users that same experience. And as the article mentioned, this app will also support RCS. So we have to talk about both of those, where it's not that Android users, for a while, Android users had felt left out. But because RCS is something that Google is really pushing within Android, you essentially get a lot of those same features. So now we have two separate ecosystems where you have the Apple ecosystem and you have a Google ecosystem. Similar features within their messaging platforms. However, they are not compatible with each other, even though Google has told Apple, hey, you can adopt RCS, please do, so that way there is cross-device compatibility to enjoy all of those things that we all know. So what are those main things? Read receipts, voice notes, full resolution media sharing. Yes, changing the colors from green to blue. yeah, that's the easy way to tell how your messaging experience is going to be. But it's really not, the color doesn't really matter, because in fact, on a lot of Android devices, within whatever messaging app you use, you can change the color of the bubble. So it really doesn't matter what the colors are. But there are several issues that I see, and of course that other people are concerned about. And then there's compromises, and there's also just workarounds and other things you can do just to say, well, I don't want to have to rely on this. So let's just start from what I view as the beginning. First, I hate when companies selectively lock their apps. So this Chats app is only going to be available on the Nothing Phone 2. Is there a reason they're not bringing it to the Nothing Phone 1? It's just software, so there's nothing preventing them from doing it. And I can imagine there's nothing preventing them really from just releasing it in the Google Play Store for everybody to use, as opposed to just people who are using either just their products or just their most recent product. So I don't like that already. Number two, and this is definitely the bigger thing, is your Apple ID, I guess depending on how you choose to use it, can be more than just a password or more than just a username and password. It is those things. And when you log in to your iCloud account, it can simply just be a way to access your iCloud devices or your Apple devices. And maybe all you do is send messages back and forth, maybe you'll FaceTime, and then that's it. But for some people, your Apple ID is a lot more than that. So maybe start paying for iCloud. It gives you access to Apple TV Plus. You have passwords and things stored some way, like in the keychain and things like that. And giving that information over to them, even though they are saying, well, it's encrypted and it's tokenized, and once you actually log in, there's nothing that they can do until, except for actually just delete the token. I'm on the fence. I really am. And I feel like in the grand scheme of all of this, you have three groups of people. You have people who use Apple products, and they're just fine going on about their business. A lot of those people will blame Android users for their own bad messaging experience, when we all know it's Apple's fault. But hey, the Apple users will say, hey, you need to get an iPhone because you were messing up my messaging experience. Okay. Then you have Android users where they're just going about their business. They don't care either. They say, hey, well, I like using Android, and I'm going to continue using the platform that I choose to use, the platform that I like. And some of those people are kind of extreme on both sides. Some people are just kind of apathetic and just like, yeah, it is what it is. But then you have a group of people, such as myself, that are right there in the middle, where we have used both platforms. We might have a preference for one of them, but we see that this incompatibility is an issue. And definitely things like this are ways to try to mitigate that. Of course, there's always the option of just downloading third-party apps like WhatsApp to try to get around that and hope that, and this is really where it becomes an issue, that depending on which platform you're on and who your friends are, some of them might be willing to purposely message you in that third-party app as opposed to their default messaging app. And I definitely had that issue where it was like, hey, text, or out of the blue, somebody might send me a picture or video, and then I'd have to respond, hey, do you mind sending that through WhatsApp because it came through kind of blurry? And it's like, I don't want to have to inconvenience you because I am using something that you aren't. So yeah, I'm definitely in this middle group. And yeah, like I said, this app is trying to assist with that. But as I mentioned in my short, my solution, which is not conducive to everybody, because my solution is carrying two phones. Not only carrying two phones, but having two separate active lines of service, which again is not conducive to everybody. I will say though, that one, in terms of the phone that I originally purchased to go through this process or to adapt and adopt, that phone only cost me $85. All right. It was an iPhone SE second generation. I bought it on eBay a couple months ago. And yeah, it served the exact purpose that I want. And in fact, if you ever look at my home screen, all you see are two apps. messaging app, and the phone app. That's it, because that's all I would use the phone for. If I wanted to browse the web or do anything else, I would pull out my Android device. And when I'm walking around, I have two phones in my pocket. For me, that works. And in terms of cost, yeah, like I said, the phone itself was 85 bucks. I bought a cheap case from Walmart for $5. Now we're talking 90 bucks all in for the iMessage experience. When it comes to my lines of service, I use T-Mobile Connect, which is their prepaid service. And for what, $15 a month, you get unlimited talk and text. And then you get, I think, 3.5 gigs of data, which for some people won't be enough. But again, for me, since I'm only using this phone for phone calls and iMessage or text messaging, if you want to say all inclusive, then yeah, 3.5 gigs is way more than enough. But then when it comes to, like I said, browsing the web, streaming music, navigating while I'm driving, that's when I'll use my Android device. And for that, I have another prepaid T-Mobile line of service. And for that one, it's a data-only plan. And it's only 2 gigs of data, which I know for a lot of people probably isn't enough. But there are other options to up that. Personally, I do a lot more stuff on Wi-Fi than when I'm out and about. So I can usually wait to get home to do a lot of that stuff. So yeah, it's really not that. For me, that's what works. And I'd rather do that instead of this Sunbird thing. Another question I have is, now that if somebody were to use this chat app, okay, you get the iMessage experience, but what about FaceTime? Not that I view it as the most important thing, but if somebody's texting you and they're like, oh, this person has an iPhone, and they attempt to FaceTime you, how does it look on their end? Because if you go into let's say you go into a contact, the iPhone recognizes that they have an iPhone, and then the option to FaceTime kind of lights up. You can just tap it. So in this case, you're kind of tricking them, or tricking your friend's phone or your family member's phone. What exactly happens when they attempt to FaceTime you? I know that the actual iPhone user can send a FaceTime link to somebody, to a recipient, and they can, click on the link and they can, start talking or video chat or whatever. But yeah, I'm just curious as to, how does FaceTime now work, or does it work? Can it work? Is that something that they're interested in getting to work if it's not yet capable? But there was one comment that really made sense, and it's like, well, if Sunbird isn't charging, which I don't think they are, how are they making money? Yeah, I'm looking at the Sunbird app in the Google Play Store, and yeah, it doesn't look like you have to pay for anything. But it also says that there only been a little more than 10,000 downloads. I mean, we'll say between 10,000 and 100,000, because I'm sure that number will change. But it also says the early access program is currently full. Space may open later. So it looks like they're kind of just in development as well. And because of that, I would definitely be skeptical of what is actually going to happen in the short time and in the long term